It was a bitter winter morning when the woman appeared on the millionaire's doorstep, trembling, drenched in rain, and clutching a tattered shawl to her chest like it was the last barrier between her and death. Her cheeks were sunken, her lips blue, and her eyes, those eyes, haunted, hollow, and desperate. With fingers that could barely hold still, she knocked, once, twice, then waited, staring down at her cracked shoes as the cold wind sliced through her like knives. When the door finally opened, she whispered with quivering lips, "Can I clean your house, just for a plate of food?" The man standing before her, immaculately dressed, perfectly groomed, powerful, looked down at her and froze. Because in that instant, something in her face, a detail, a memory, a long-buried wound, came rushing back with the force of a storm. Yellow heart, before we dive deeper into this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one act to change a life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to believe in hope again, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Speaks. Your support helps us share stories that touch hearts. Yellow heart. To the outside world, Michael Hawthorne had it all, owner of one of the city's biggest real estate firms, a sprawling estate nestled in the hills, and every luxury a man could ever desire. But behind closed doors, Michael was a man running from his past. For all his wealth, success, and social standing, his heart carried a silence only pain could etch. Years ago, he had lost something, someone, that money could never replace. And though the world had moved on, he had never truly healed. That day, when he opened his door to the woman, his instinct was to shut it just as fast. He wasn't one to entertain strangers or pity seekers. But something made him hesitate. The way her eyes darted around, the way she tried to hide her hunger behind forced dignity, and the sheer hopelessness radiating from her every breath, it all stirred something in him. Her hands were raw from the cold, her coat threadbare, and yet, her posture, there was still a shred of pride there, stubborn and weary. He didn't let her in right away. Instead, he asked his housekeeper to prepare a warm meal while he watched the woman from his office window, pacing in the cold as if afraid of standing still. When she finally stepped inside, the heat from the fireplace made her wince. It was like her body had forgotten what warmth felt like. She didn't speak much, only nodded in thanks, her eyes glued to the plate before her like it was a feast fit for a queen. She ate slowly, savoring every bite, and when she was done, she stood and insisted on cleaning, true to her word. Michael, curious and cautious, allowed it. But as she cleaned, he watched her more than the surfaces she wiped. There was grace in her movements, a familiarity he couldn't place. Over the next few days, she returned, always asking if she could work for a meal, always keeping her distance. Michael never asked her name, and she never offered it. It was as if she preferred to remain invisible, a ghost floating between kindness and survival. Yet, there was something about her, a sadness too profound to ignore, and a strength too stubborn to crumble. Then, one night, as she was dusting the shelves in the study, Michael caught a glimpse of an old scar running down her forearm. It stopped him in his tracks. He remembered that scar. He remembered the hands that once cradled his daughter when she was just a baby, the lullabies hummed in the dark, and the promises whispered between two hearts that never truly said goodbye. His throat tightened. Could it be? Could this be her? Years ago, Michael had fallen in love with a woman named Evelyn, not the glamorous type his peers expected, but a volunteer at a youth shelter. She had compassion written in her every breath, and for the first time, he felt seen. But life had been cruel. His father disapproved, his business demanded loyalty, and his pride, his terrible, untamed pride, drove her away after a series of misunderstandings and harsh words he could never take back. She vanished without a trace, and though he looked, he never found her again. Now, standing in the same room as this stranger, his heart dared to believe. One day, he mustered the courage and asked her, quietly, gently, where she was from. She flinched, then murmured, "Nowhere that matters." But her voice, that voice, was unmistakable. He asked her to sit. She hesitated, but something in his tone softened her guard. He looked at her long and hard, then whispered, "Evelyn, is that you?" Silence. Long, suffocating silence. Then tears, quiet, silent tears slid down her face. She didn't deny it. She didn't run. She simply nodded, and the years between them collapsed in an instant. She told him everything. How after she left, she tried to rebuild. How she had a daughter, their daughter, but lost her to illness when she was just 4. How life had been unkind, relentless, and how she had drifted from city to city, surviving on whatever dignity she could hold on to. She never reached out. She thought he'd moved on. She thought he'd forgotten. Michael's world unraveled. The pain, the guilt, the shame, it consumed him. He had been searching for success while the woman he once loved was begging for food. He had everything, yet he had failed the one person who mattered most. But he didn't let her go this time. He offered her more than a meal. He gave her a room, not out of pity but repentance. He helped her get back on her feet, gave her space to heal, and never pressured her. Slowly, Evelyn began to smile again, those rare, fleeting smiles that hinted at the woman she once was. And Michael, he changed, truly. He shut down parts of his empire and opened community kitchens, women's shelters, and recovery homes. He named them after the daughter, Leela, so her memory would feed the hungry and protect the lost. Months later, Michael and Evelyn stood side by side at the ribbon cutting of the largest shelter they had built together. Cameras flashed, reporters asked questions, but Michael held her hand proudly and said, "This is the real success story. We're proof that broken things can be rebuilt, if we dare to care." Heart, if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Your one act of engagement can help spread warmth to others who may feel forgotten. Comment below what part of this story moved you most. We read every message. Heart. Dove special request. Before you go, please comment just one word that describes how this story made you feel. We promise, it matters more than you think.